Here we are, FightHype.com here on location. Jimmy Kambosos, we're here in the Kambosos compound, out of reach, out of sight. Very different Kambosos team to the one that we had here back in the start of June.
Yeah, mate. We are military covert, mate. We learned a lot of lessons in the first fight, and the thing is, we've looked at every single bit of what happened in that fight, and we've just kept everything low key. So we are covert and very low key, mate. And it seems like we're rattling some opponents.
Your thoughts on today's press conference? Bill Haney pulled the Art of War book out. George didn't really give him too much back. There was some reference to some other comments, but your thoughts on where you see your son at today from the press conference?
Oh, totally different, mate. George looks so relaxed. He's already on weight. You could just see the look in George's face. And you know what? The Haney team, all I heard was yap, 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 yap. That's all I heard. And we're not reacting to anything. We're just staying in our own zone, and we're basically keeping nice and calm and relaxed and low key, and let the Haneys do all the talking. But it looks like we've got under their skin. And you know, the first time George tried to get under Devin's skin, but this time round, silence is golden, mate. And you know what? They are rattled. I think Devin Haney's dad is a real distraction, to be honest. When Devin's dad couldn't get in on the last fight and he got in on a late Saturday night, I think Devin's preparation was a lot more relaxed with his team. Now he's got his dad here for the 2.5 weeks, and to be honest, looking at the reaction from Bill Haney and looking at Devin wearing the shades, trying to conceal the eyes, I think Mr. Bill Haney is a distraction to his son Devin.
Chris Backus, you guys have appointed him as your senior coach. Javier Centeno was the last one. Tell the fans, and we're going to have an exclusive with Chris coming up shortly. Tell the fans about Chris Backus, how he started with you guys, and how he was brought back in to Team Ferocious.
Yeah, look, Chris has always been a part of George's career, and very important part, because our first 14 fights that George fought in Australia, and basically I was matching him up and getting the right fights. Chris was our guy on the ground through strength and conditioning, and obviously assisting George in the corner. And that old school mentality, the way Chris thinks, is incredible. He's got this this unique boxing brain, and you know, obviously we ventured over to the States and we connected with different coaches, and you know, we kept progressing and obviously conquering different mountains to be able to get to the top. You know, Javier, he made his own choice. At the end of the day, I didn't have to basically remove Javier from his position. He made his own choice. He never spoke to George pretty much straight after the loss against Haney.
Hang on. You're saying that Javier, so after Javier and another member that was part of your team, so they didn't reach out to George?
No, not once. Not once did they reach out. So I reached out, had a brief chat with Javier, and Javier said to me, I'll have to check my diary in response to the rematch and preparing George. As far as I'm concerned, I ain't waiting for no one to check their diary. We went straight into preparation. We've been preparing for quite a while. Chris Backus was brought back into the team, and really everything just went a complete full circle, and this is why everything's so great right now. We know what George possesses and what Chris has delivered, but yeah, I ain't waiting for people that check their diaries. The penny dropped when I was told that over the phone, but Javier has never communicated with George since the Haney loss back in June 5th. Now, people make their own decisions. To me, it just tells me he made his own decision, that he didn't want to come back to Australia, spend 8 to 10 weeks preparing George in a rematch.
You've spoken at length a little bit more today around this new All-Australian, some other individuals in the team that preferred to be unnamed. How do you feel where this team sits compared to what you've had over the years?
Look, we've had great teams over the years, but this team is just an all-Australian team. There's a great buzz with each individual that's involved in the team. Chris is obviously the lead trainer. Ronnie's back as an assistant, and I think Ronnie had more to say in the first preparation, but he couldn't. He basically just let the lead trainer do his work. But Chris and Ronnie have got a really good bond, and they both understand the strategy and the planning moving forward for the rematch this Sunday. Our cutman Brian Wilmot, best cutman in Australia, done many world title fights around the world. Brian's now back in the. He's also in the team. So and myself being in the corner as the fourth man again. It's an all-Australian team. The vibe's great. The energy's amazing, and we're just a relaxed team, Kambosos team in our environment that we're at, mate. Undisclosed, low-key, military operation, and we proved that today in the official press conference. How we've rattled the Haney team.
You've spoken also about the way George looks. Obviously, you know him better than anyone as his father. He said today that he's on weight. Some other people that do some things in the team say he's on weight as well. How fit is George Kambosos, and what do you think he needs to do in order, without giving too much away, to beat Devin Haney on Sunday?
Well, first of all, it's the fittest I've ever seen George. George is an absolute fitness machine.
Yeah.
George never gets away from his fitness regime. And the thing is, obviously last night we did a bit of a check weight on him. And the thing is, mate, the guy was on weight. And we're what, 3 days out or 2 days out from weigh-in. Tomorrow's the weigh-in now. And if you just look at George's face, he looks very fresh. He's not dry. His eyes are not sucked in. He's not gaunt. And you know what? That is a big thing. And it's all credit to George's preparation with Chris. The way they're prepared for this fight, the way they've changed some training techniques and introduced some other factors into George's game, that's made a big difference in response to making weight really easy. George never struggled with weight, but he's made weight really easy this time, and literally 2 days out from the official weigh-in. I'm not going to give away anything in this fight. We all know that Devin has got a particular style that he likes to use, that jab, keep George on the outside, and it was very evident in the first fight. And this is not an excuse. People say it's an excuse, but anybody that knows boxing or seen boxing, they saw how many times Devin would hold George, because he didn't want to exchange with George. He didn't want to get himself into a position where he can get hurt. And George showed that against Lopez, and the Haney team had a plan to nullify George's style by constantly holding every time George slipped that jab and got on the inside. But no, we're not revealing nothing. Come October the 16th, this Sunday, all will be seen. And if Devin wants to take the fight to George, well, mate, show us how much of a true champion you are. If you don't want to take the fight to George, well, then you know what? You're going to find out the hard way that you no longer will be the undisputed champion of the world.